Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. Mom and I are both grateful that you can join us today, and we're excited today. We have Margaret Solorio on with us. She's an intuitive guide, energy mentor, and creator of the Home Frequency Reset, a transformative service that helps clients clear energetic clutter and realign their spaces to support personal growth and inner peace. Through her podcast, Intuitive Wisdom, and one-on-one offerings, she blends grounded spiritual insight with practical energy work to help conscious individuals create environments that match their evolving frequency. Her mission is simple: help people feel energetically at home in their space and in themselves. So, welcome. We're so excited for you to join us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, can you tell us a little and our followers a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do with the energy clearings?
Yeah. Well, I was always a big doer and get things done. I'm great at just getting a lot of things done in one day. And I realized at some point that even though I could do a lot, it wasn't quite getting me where I wanted to be. So it was this idea of it's not just the doing, it's the being and how you are and your energy. And that kind of brought me to the energy work. And I became certified as an angel Reiki master. And I started working with people on their own energy fields. And then this year, actually, I've been really called to work on spaces, which is something the more I dive into it, the more I realize how much I've always enjoyed that since I was a kid. But now kind of having the tools to work with that. So if we think about energy and that we are all souls having human experiences, so we're all energy at our core, or I'm also a trained scientist. I love looking under a microscope. And if you get to the smallest point, the atoms, they're buzzing with energy. So everything is energy. And with that, everything has a little energetic residue when we, just by existing, kind of like dust collects in your house just by being. So once in a while, we need to clean the dust, and once in a while, it can really help to clear that energetic dust, that energetic residue. And so that's what I focus on now. And it's often really helpful when you're going through a big life transition. So there's a big obvious change. You've moved and you're in someone else's space. Just as an anecdote, like if you think about if someone has had an argument in a space and the argument is over, but then you walk into the space, you can really feel that energetic residue. You know something has been up. So if there's been a big, maybe negative event, or if it's just you're moving into a house and now you're making the space yours and you want to clear out the old and welcome in the new, that can be a great time. Some of my clients feel maybe they're doing a lot of personal development work and feel their creativity is stuck or want to connect to their intuition. I've had some that can feel the weight on communication or relationships within their household, and so that clearing allows for that lightness to come in. Lots of different things. We were talking before we push record that what I love is little changes that have big impacts, and this energy work is not. It's not heavy in that it's demanding of you to do something this way, this way, this way, this way to get it right. It's really just what little shift can I make that makes it that much easier to go through my day or to be who I am or to express myself or to have the creativity or, so that's what I am for.
That's very cool. I love that, and I'm excited to delve into this with you, and I know Mom is as well, because I know for myself, like I'll get the feeling that there's a lot of stagnant energy in the house, and
Mhm.
then it does, like you said, blocks your creativity and it kind of blocks your flow, and it's like, how can I change that or shift that? So if people are noticing that, like they're feeling kind of blocked, how is it that they could go about it, or how do people tap in to be able to feel when their things are not aligned in their space?
Yeah, I agree. Awareness is definitely step one, and that happens with tuning in. So instead of brushing something off and just kind of tolerating, like, I don't know, a drawer that's sticky or you can't find something, you always have to look for it. Like sometimes it's something like clutter, or sometimes it's an emotional, somebody gave you a gift and you feel badly for giving it away, but you really have no use for it. Somebody else could use it more. So then that's a little bit of a emotional drag. That's energy. Emotions are energy in motion. So having that awareness of how you feel, because that's how we read the energy is our feelings. So that's definitely the first step. And then I'm a very visual person. So if you think about, I see energy kind of like air currents. So if you think of the weather maps we all see where they put the little arrows and the air currents going around, that's kind of how the energy travels through your home. Usually it enters through the front door and it moves on through the back, of course, depending on how the home is set up. So to think of that flow, it helps me to think of air. So one easy way to refresh is actually using air, opening window and letting that cross breeze through maybe just 5 minutes a day and giving the air refresh. If you can't do it with the wind, then maybe you can spray some essential oils in distilled water, and that changes the frequency. So that can help raise the vibration and help feel better. A scented candle or something that makes you feel good and raise that vibration. Lighting can really help. So if you look at the lighting in the space, that can change a lot. Bringing in a lamp, or maybe in the evenings, it's something you need a more low light than a high bright light. And nature, that always works for me too. So I like to think about, it can also help to think about your favorite scents. So I said I'm a visual person. So even seeing a picture of nature helps me. I have pictures of mountains and things all in my house. But maybe you're somebody who reacts well to sounds. So then you put, nature sounds or bird sounds in the background in your house. And it's subtle, but it helps lift. Or you do bring a plant in, if maybe it's more sensory and you like to touch the plant when you walk by. But finding those little ways that it's just, air, nature, light, those are usually the places I start.
Yeah. I love that because and I'm constantly moving things in my house because I'm trying to keep that. I read somewhere that if you are feeling really stuck and stagnant, if you move 27 things, so I'm always just moving.
Oh, I usually set a timer because I think when you clear clutter or put things away is very helpful and it does move the energy. It's really easy to go down that rabbit hole and like start a project you can't really finish in the amount of time you have. So yeah, 27 or setting a timer for 5 minutes and just say, okay, whatever I can handle in 5 minutes and the timer goes off, I'm just going to stop. Yes, that can also refresh.
And I'm glad you said that because I know so many people have the best of intentions, like I
Oh,
need to clean
absolutely.
out this closet, and then
Well,
like
and it
you said,
feels
get
good.
lost.
And you're like, wow, look what I did. If I did that, I can tackle this thing. And then you're like, well, wait, I have other commitments.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're like, no, I got more clutter all over my house because I don't
Well, yeah,
have time
because
to
you
do
were
it.
trying to organize and out, spread out. And yeah,
And bringing
it's
that
true.
anxiety in. So, with what you do, I've listened to some of your podcasts, so I know that you use a lot of intuition with when you're space clearing and helping people. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I do mostly remote services. So I don't actually go to the home. I use a sketch. I ask clients to provide me with an intention for the session. Also, let me know if there are any particular areas of concern, and then a sketch of the home and usually the landscape around it. And so I use that almost if you've ever had a Reiki session of yourself, if you've ever had a remote session, they use a body graph, same kind of idea that you can send the energy with intention to a specific space. And so because I trained with Angel Reiki, I've learned to work with the archangels and I really enjoy it. So that's what I do. So kind of meditate and pray and start the session. And then I have my notebook out and the Reiki that I studied was actually dual Reiki and mediumship. So I get these messages from the angels and they either point me in the right direction or they'll give subtle hints like, oh, this space feels really good, but it has a lot of traffic. So absorbing that energy, maybe this person could use like a rock salt because salt helps absorb. So there'll be little notes like that throughout as I go through each space, and I'll just write them down and I'll note which angels show up because that for me also has significance. Archangel Michael is often there for protection or for day to day. So if there's some transition or that'll be shown to me. Or there, I had woman who lived quite out in the woods, and there was a lot of nature, and Archangel Ariel showed up, and that tied in multiple ways. So yeah, I use my intuition and I work with the angels with each session.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's really neat how you combine the two to get that feel for the space and can, pick up on those different things that are happening because I think we leave such energetic trails as we go along on our day, with our mood shifts or, whatever it is. I think it's interesting how that actually impacts our home.
Yes, I agree. And I am very grateful too because when I wanted to start working with homes, I basically prayed and I said, well, here's the knowledge I have and here's where I want. How do I blend those two? And they very clearly kind of mapped out for me the chakras of the home. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. I know how those connect to everyone. So it helps me go through the space too.
That's interesting. So did the chakras of the home then work sort of along the same way as like the feng shui Bagu map, or is it different
I'm
totally?
still studying feng shui. I don't know enough about the Bagu map to accurately comment on that. But for me, it's not, it's more information on how it relates, like the heart of your home. And often I see colors too, or if like there's so the crown, the strong spiritual connection, or the root and the grounding, it's kind of where that balance happens in the space to support those, how that information is communicated to me.
Hmm, that's
Yeah.
very neat. I like that.
Yeah. You stole
Is
my
this
question. I
your,
was going to ask about feng shui.
were you?
I read a new book as fast as I can. It's all connected. The last one I read was quite textbook and deep, and I was like, oof, I have a lot more to learn. But it is fascinating, and it's so exciting to me that it's so ancient. This idea of balancing your space and working with the energy to, it's just another way of supporting yourself to do what you want to do.
Do you think a lot of people get an intuition of kind of where they should be placing things in their home? Like, do you think, I guess, as we're decorating or moving things in our home, should we really be paying attention to like how it makes us feel when we're placing that plant in that particular spot? Because I do really think that when you're placing something down, you kind of have that, ooh, that doesn't really feel good there. That
Yeah.
makes
And
sense.
I do agree. And I often feel like we're so used to, at least maybe I'll speak as a woman, but like taking care of others, that it's almost easiest to imagine a guest coming over and how I would set up the house, even though you set it up for yourself. You're the one who enjoys your house the most. If you have that idea of, okay, if I walk in the front door, does this feel welcoming? Is there an easy way to walk through to the next space? Do you, yeah, look at that plant and smile, or is it kind of hidden and I can't enjoy it? So sometimes for me, thinking of it a point of view as a hostess, it's almost easier to find that flow because I think we are taught, if you want to set up a nice party, you want to set the mood, you want the, music, you want the lighting, you want the flow of the people. And then you start thinking about all these connections that you want for yourself anyway.
True. That's so true.
So, what do you think would be something that somebody could do when they're coming into their house that they could do for themselves to help shift some of these energies?
Yeah, I still feel the air is the easiest, just to open the window and get the air flowing. 5 minute the cleaning, the clutter is way clutter does slow down the flow of the energy. So even if it's not a big project, but just putting things away for 5 minutes, it feels better, but it also helps the energy flow. And then I think what is best for each of us is different. So what you said about taking time either to journal at the end of the day and notice if that's easiest, or to just be aware as you walk through your house and something catches you and you think, oh, that's really annoying. Or for me, for a long time, it was the bowls in our kitchen, like our soup cereal bowls. They were chipped, and I was taught you don't throw anything away until you can't use it at all. So I had, half chip bowls and half nice bowls. And every day I'd set the table and give my other family members the nice ones and me the chip bowls. So like down, down, down with my self-confidence and energy. And then one day I woke up and I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm an adult. Let's just get rid of the chip bowls, spend the $20, buy some new bowls. It's been years. I still get so happy every time I use one of those bowls. They're not that exciting. But for me, it's like, it's a little change that made a big difference in my vibration and how I approach, mealtime with my family or self-respect for myself. It's just a little tweak. Or same thing with the bath towels. They were terrible and mismatched and didn't, and here I was like, I'm taking care of my little kids. Why don't I have nice towels? Oh, right, I can do that. So, I switched those out and I still quite enjoy using them.
Nice. Is there anything special that you do for the sleeping area? Because lots of people have problems sleeping at night. Is there any suggestions you would make for that area?
Um, uh, yes, although everybody kind of has a different situation, I would say in general, being intentional with your space is probably the most powerful thing. So if you think of that as the rest space, then leaving that as the main activity in that space, creating kind of that sanctuary and if you want to read or watch TV, then maybe doing that in a different space. Kind of like if you have children, you know that we had to teach them how to sleep. We came up with this whole ritual of, okay, you're going to change your clothes, you're going to take a bath, I'm going to read to you, like brain, let's start to get, on board. You can do the same for yourself. You can create that ritual in the space, but I think intention is so powerful. So if you say, hey, this is where I'm going to rest, and you honor that, that can go a long way. But then, of course, the same thing, air, nature, lighting, those are usually my top three.
So do you think too, then, like when we're in our vehicles, like because these are all our spaces in our life, so should we be conscious of the energetic clutter and stuff that in our vehicles, in our office space? I mean, sometimes there's nothing we can do about in the office space, but in our personal office space, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. I've never gotten that question before, and yes. Um, it's also fun to think about this you're a steward of the space for the time, but recognizing that everything has energy. I like to name my cars, so then I talk to my car. Some people name their houses and talk to the house too, but for me, that's a way of appreciating the space. And then I do take more time to clean up, and keep that flow, or respect it a little bit more, because it has a name, and then I have that I acknowledge that energetic connection and relationship. Yeah, you're right. With offices, sometimes that's hard because it's not all your space, but you can, if you have your own calendar and you keep that. I use paper calendars. I'm old school, but you keep that, the way you like it, or decorate it the way you like it, and you can unfold that, and then that's your space. Have a little bit to you that helps support you and make you feel good, and keep that high vibe, clarity,
Yeah, kind of brings your own
freshness.
energy into that space
Yeah,
and makes it yours, even if it's just like you said, little things like that, your calendar or how you keep your pencils or, because
right.
I'm
I call
very
them energy.
but
Yeah, you should be. That's for you. It's to support you doing your work and help you focus. And for me, I call them energetic anchors. So you want to think about positive energetic anchors, what helps anchor in those good vibes and that good mood and that clarity and focus and creativity.
I was giving you a second. You looked like you had some question. So, so
Still
do
listening.
do you have like when you tap into the space using your angels, so they just talk to you and tell you then kind of what if there's something up, if there's something that needs to be cleared out, if there's
Yeah, it's kind of like your intuition. I hear my intuition. We all receive those messages differently, but it's a very subtle whisper. And I spend time before reading the intention, kind of mapping it all out. And I draw a circle and lines to kind of see what I ask, which angels are here today to help. And then I go room by room and take notes. And it's always subtle suggestions. And, you know, sometimes there was one client I worked with where I could feel a lot of clutter. And this was actually an example of me not trusting, but I felt like old car parts were in the front area of the home, like before the front entrance is the driveway as you come up. And so I wrote, oh, there's some unused things there, clutter that could be cleared or brought to the back of the property so it's not impeding that flow and those opportunities she's looking for. And she wrote back, oh, yeah, my boyfriend's a car mechanic. There's lots of old car parts out there, and I've been waiting, trying to get him to move them. I was like, oh, okay, right. They were really car parts. I should listen. But, they do. I'm a visual person mostly. So I see either colors that align with the chakras, so I understand, or actual things that could help balance. So sometimes I see water, but it's not calm, it's overwhelming water. I'm like, okay. Then I actually use some of the feng shui that I've learned and say what balances water so that we can balance the space and feel better in it.
So if a person is like, let's just say all of a sudden, your house is feeling very calm, and then all of a sudden seems like there's a lot of emotional stuff. People are being emotional, kind of biting at each other, that kind of thing. Would you say that's something then that we need to pay attention to and say, what in my space could be, causing these emotional upheavals?
Good one.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely say that's a clue when you feel like you've done what you know how to do to help the situation and nothing's helping, that there might be some stagnant energy that could be cleared. So sometimes it's not necessarily a specific thing that you can do, it's just that the energy needs to be cleared. And for that, you can use me, but you can also use any tools that you otherwise enjoy for personal development or energy work, like crystals. If you like crystals, you can use crystals. If you like sound, I have a sound bowl that I use sometimes. You can use the sound to clear the space. There are essential oil sprays that'll change the frequency. So the tools you like to use, if you set that intention, the corners often are where the most buildup is. But get to that, if you meditate, you get to that kind of flow state. So you take a minute by yourself to get to that higher state and then state your intention and use your tool and walk the space. That itself will help clear a lot.
And do you think there's a particular way, like, do you have to go counterclockwise, clockwise, like, or you just kind of go room to room, sort of, for like, I mean, for myself, I guess I go sort of what makes sense, right? Like where I'd be
Right,
if
intuitive.
I wasn't,
Yeah.
I guess. So
Yeah, I don't anymore. I was a rule person for so long. I'm a firstborn and all the things. So I don't like to prescribe to that anymore. And I really feel like the intuition leads you the best way. There's more than one way to get there. So I don't want anyone to feel badly about, oh, I did it wrong. If you're listening, if it feels better or if it feels off, then you can do it again. You
Right.
know, it doesn't have to be a one and done. It never is. We're always growing and doing things. But getting that clearing, yeah, if you're doing it with intention and taking the time to do that, you'll definitely see results.
I love that because we are both very big fans of intention is like there's so much to that of attention, and it's
There's
funny
so
what you
much.
get called to do because I used to always just smudge my house with either sage or Palo
Yeah,
Santo or
that's another one.
whatever. And then now I've kind of moved because the one day I was doing it and I was like, no, no, I don't think that's what I want to do. So I actually did what you were saying there with the singing bowl and went around to all my rooms and did that. And it felt different and it felt better for me. So I think we
Yes.
graduate and move in
I
direction.
think we graduate. I think the houses are different. The house I live in likes the sound bowl too. When I do sessions, it's different. The crystals I pick to work with, it's also different. I mean, I usually do clear with sage first too. But also I love when a space is done, when the room is clear, I get a sign from the angels that I know to move on. And every house is different.
Yeah,
Every
yeah,
person is different. So
yeah.
whatever that symbol or sound or color or feeling or whatever it it is different.
Yeah, we like to clean our space too before we do a podcast, so the
Hmm.
energy is clear for you and for us, so that it's nice, clean energy that we exchange while we're on the podcast, and it works really nice for
It
both of us.
does.
You know, it really does. And I'm also a Reiki master, so I also use Reiki when I'm doing clearings and things like that because it just works with
Exactly.
the
It
angels.
just
It just does. Yeah.
it does. Yep. And I did that too. I took time and prayed, and I have three crystals out that represent my three guides. And yeah, asked Archangel Gabrielle to step in because she's for communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, and I think that's great that we're getting this information out to people because I think it's important for people to know there's all these different ways, like so I have also a little energetic spray that I use if I need to clear the energy in a room because sometimes you're not at home and you know, you can't use the sage. So I've taken it out to my
Mhm.
trailer or maybe into my office and, squirted it
Yeah.
out, right? Because it's not as such a strong smelling as sage or something like that, where they might be like, you're going to do what in here?
Yeah. My kids don't like this age.
And it's good because it's all intention too, right? So when you use it, it reminds you,
Yes.
this is
Oh,
what I'm
that's true
doing, this
too.
is what I want, right? So that's a good
Benefits
thing.
both the
Yeah.
space and you. That's a
Yeah.
very good point.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is about trusting your own intuition as well when you're going into your space. And I think I heard you say on the podcast when I was listening to you was like coming into your home like you're a guest and kind of looking around and, does it feel welcoming? Does it feel those things? And I know we still have to do it for ourselves as well, but that gives us kind of somewhere to start off with.
Yeah. Or thinking of like vacation. I think one of the fun things about vacation is you get to live in a different space, but it's that feeling of when you walk in and it's all fresh and maybe it's that it's tidy or maybe that it's got cool furniture, whatever it is that feels fun for you. Our home should be or is our own sanctuary, and that refreshed feeling is awesome if we can create that on a regular basis, on a daily basis, when you come home from a long day and you open the door and you're just not only excited to be home because it's yours, but it's beautiful or there are fresh flowers and you love fresh flowers. Like those little things that help uplift. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love fresh flowers. That's one thing. My husband bought me this really neat vase and it's like a tree trunk, it looks like.
Oh,
And
wow.
then you just fill it with your flowers. So I just kind of refill it all the time with fresh flowers, but I haven't for a while because we've been out and about and doing stuff. And so it was like, and I've felt energetically when I come in, I don't feel the same way as I did when those fresh flowers are kind of there to greet me when I come home.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. They're so beautiful when you walk in. It's like, ah,
A breath of fresh air.
And I love the way that you do it because it's not like I love feng shui and I do believe in that a lot and I know mom does as well, but it's nice the way that you sort of explain this to everybody that some of it needs to be with your own intention as well because I think there is a place for things, but I think we need to put our own spirit and energy into it that we create that haven for ourselves that we really want to be in.
yeah,
I absolutely agree. And also with the tools that you use, there are lots of different options for tools, but if they don't speak to you, like in the spiritual world, tarot cards are wonderful, but I've never been called to buy a deck. I love getting readings, but it just has never been a connection for me. So just because it works for somebody else doesn't mean that will be the modality that maybe suits you best, and that's okay. So to use your intuition, yes, you can use what you have, and make an impact and enjoy it. Yeah, I definitely want it to be accessible and it's supposed to all be fun, right? We're all helping each other.
Yeah, exactly. So, what do you think is some of the things that people don't know about clearing their energy and clearing their clutter and creating that safe, happy space for themselves?
Yeah, I think the awareness of how much it can affect your day. I love the way you said with the power of intention, because you had mentioned earlier, I published my first book this year, Make Easier Vibe, and a lot of that had to do with my relationship with time and learning. I like to say now, time is squishy, so it's that expectation that cosmic order that you put out to the universe when you say, "Oh, I don't have enough time," then the universe says, "Great, I love you so much. I'll give you not enough time, and here are lots more things to do, and you're going to be late in this many different ways." So, understanding how that relationship works, I think also helps us understand that if knowing that you're the magnet, the energetic magnet in your space, in your world, and that you can reset your magnet and have those things reflect back to you, and how much that can help. And that energy, you're not crazy. Energy does linger. If you're thinking about something or noticing something, even though it's been there for a while, well, yeah, maybe it just you haven't given it the attention and cleared it, or forgiven it or let it go or given it away or whatever needs to happen, that can really help.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think, it's really interesting, I think, when you're coming into spaces and you're finding things. And I had an experience today where it was about kind of trusting my intuition because I was like so not in the right place of where I was supposed to be, and I'm like, well, I need to trust that, my intuition took me this other place because either I was going to miss a car accident or I was supposed to be where I was supposed to be. But that's hard, I think, for a lot of us to just let go of that and just to
Mhm.
flow with that vibe, right? To
Yes, because we're often taught we're in control of everything and not that it's a co-creation, and that what happens in our day is not only a reflection of our energy, but it's our spirit team on the other side helping us to what we want the fastest way possible, even if whatever we're walking through is not fun. Whether it's the lessons we've learned or the person we'll meet or whatever that what we call negative experience or contrast is, that actually is the shortest path to what you want. It took me a long time to enjoy that as a belief, because I agree there's a lot of conditioning that happens, at least where I grew up, that everything is happening to you and not for you. And so to feel like it's you against the world, or if you don't do it this way, or you have no control, and then realizing you've just given away the control, and then you go, great, I have my control back, but nuts, now I have all that responsibility. What am I going to do? You definitely, there are stages of going through, and then you get to the part where you're like, this is fantastic. That means I have the power to make things better. And then why am I not making it better faster? And then we learn about the resistance, and all of that is energy flow. So anytime we can help raise our vibration and feel a little bit better, the ripple effects are everywhere in life. So I love that tuning into spaces allows me to help people feel better and on a basic level.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And get creativity unblocked and things like that, right? I think we all
Yes.
go through these things where we're like, I'm a super creative person or I'm a super energetic person. Now I'm feeling just blocked. And how do I move forward? Or if you're trying to create something in a business or things like that for you to be able to do this magic to help out to help people, right? To clear the
Absolutely. To clear and to give another, it's another thing to learn. It's another avenue to explore. It's another thing to throw at your so-called problem. It's another opportunity for support. And I love that interaction, because like you said, you're always in the right place at the right time, but to recognize that, to feel that, to see that is difficult in the moment. So to create a space that feels nurturing, that allows those defenses to relax and to welcome in all the good you deserve, I think is great.
what has been one of the most surprising messages that you've received from the angels when you've been working either on your own place or on a client's place to clear blockages out?
I haven't worked a lot with other spirits. And I had a reading in a house actually in London last week. And that was the first time. And that was really surprising for me. And it was actually a really positive experience. And it was so multi-layered. I love how ignorant I am sometimes, but how complex, Source Universe is. And we forget that. And then you get to see it and you're like, wow, mind blown. This is amazing. So that was probably most surprising. There was issues in the bedroom and I was pulled right there. And then there was a spirit who hadn't crossed over and needed help crossing over. So I got a chance to do that. And I've never done that before, which was awesome. But the layering was the emotions that she was feeling were also tied to the emotions that were issue with the family living in this space. So to see that interact and to let that go energetically, but also to help her go to the light, was a really cool gift and very surprising because I've always said to spirit, I don't think I can handle that. So let's not go there. And I haven't, but apparently now I can handle it a little bit. And it wasn't scary and it was very positive. And it was, you know, I mean, I'm going to use motherhood as an example again, but when you have a little kid and they're like yelling at you and you can see it's not personal, they're frustrated, they're hungry, they're who knows what it is. You can probably figure it out faster than they can, but the expression is just like wah, right at you. And if you were to take it personally, it would feel terrible because it's so much. That's what
Right.
the spirit felt like, where it was just like in my face. And at the same time, I understood it wasn't personal. It was an emotion that was masking something else. And if we got to the something else, we could release and everyone would be better for it.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I love that. And I love how spirit pushes us outside of our comfort zones, right? Like it's like
Oh yeah, I
right
love how spirit's
here, yeah.
funny. I have a spirit guide who I swear laughs at me regularly and plays music, puts a lyric in my mind, and it's always something, and I'm like, oh, so funny. Like it's always humbling.
Yeah, it is.
And so what do you for you what works best for you just to give people other ideas of tuning into your spirit guides, into your angels that are around us all the time?
Oh yeah. It's just practice, like any other muscle that you have. So for me, I started with meditation. And when I very first started, I think I set the timer for 1 o'clock, not 1 o'clock, 1 minute, so that I could release that worry of time. Because sitting with my own thoughts for 1 minute was painful enough. Like I was just like, when's it over? When's it over? But if I set the timer, I could pretend not to worry about that. And then gradually worked up to a place where I could feel that I could recognize the feeling of getting to the place where there was calm and peace inside. We all experience it a little differently, but when I could recognize that shift, and also in energetic work, we learned to recognize the difference between the ego and the intuition. So the egoic thoughts come across as very heavy-handed, and the intuitive thoughts come across as much lighter, and for me, kind of like a whisper. So once I could get to a place where, when sifting and sorting my thoughts during meditation, I could feel that difference. I could trust the intuitive thoughts. Maybe not right away, but at least I understood what was happening. So for me, journaling helped. I would ask a question and write it down before my ego dismissed what I heard, and then I could read it and get the information. And then it's just a matter of asking questions. I was so thrilled to learn there are trillions of angels. I think there are as many angels out there as there are cells in our bodies, and they're just all waiting to help. We all have a spirit guide that's with us through our entire lifetime, at least one, but that there are angels everywhere. And just like we were talking about earlier, it doesn't really matter how you do it. It just matters that you are with intention and that you do it. So if you pray or you ask or whatever it is, and if you pray to God or if you pray to Archangel Michael, it doesn't matter. The message is received and somebody shows up. So it's just so exciting then. And then you can play with it. You can ask for a nice parking spot when you go to the grocery store and get one. Or so then once you play with that and your ego is like, okay, you stack up the evidence to go, yep, this is something. Then you can ask more questions like, oh, how many guides do I have? Or what are your names? What can I call you? Or you can have those conversations, not just for me, not just in a structured session, but throughout the day, and receive the information. I think it's getting to a place where you can receive the information because it's so easy to dismiss.
Hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Trusting. It all
Yes.
comes down to trust.
It is really trusting, and I find it really incredible because, like, part of my practice is that I journal in the morning and then I pull a card for myself, and then
Oh,
sometimes
fun.
I journal on the card because I'm like amazed at how the card is so relevant to what's happening in my life. It's like when I was thinking about making some changes with my health and things like that. Like literally, I was just talking about it, and then the very next day, I pulled my card in the morning, and it was health habit changes or something like that. And I'm like, really? Wow, okay. And then
That's my favorite.
and then I
Spirit
do my
always meets
grateful.
you where you are.
Yeah.
Yes, spirit
So
knows.
yeah,
Spirit knows. And I think that's the big thing a lot of people fear, either hearing something bad or discovering something bad. And one, it's always positive, loving messages. And two, it's never more than you can handle. It's literally meets you where you are in that moment in time. So it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
yeah. I agree, and I love how covered like the intuition and trusting yourself and connecting, and also your words are so important because I really think they are. And it's funny because I've adopted this new thing that I say in the morning, and it's like um some to the effect of something surprising will happen. And I've been doing it for a couple of days now, and I'm like, I don't know that anything interesting or surprising happened. And I was just thinking about it, and I was like, today somebody posts on at work, is this earring anybody's? And I'm like, hey, that's my earring. I'm like, hey, just a minute. I said this morning something, fun or exciting or surprising would happen. And there it was. It was like,
Yeah.
so like you were saying, the universe is always listening to us. And if we're putting that out, it's better than saying, like you said, oh, I don't have enough time. And then the universe, yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's just asking the question. I think we forget, free will trumps all. So we will get to go do whatever we want. But if we ask for help or ask for a spark of creativity or help speaking or whatever it is, just remembering to take a moment and center yourself and ask for that guidance or whatever it is you're looking for, it comes. It's fantastic.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of that, where can people find you if they need help?
Well, thank you for asking. My website is deliciousease.com. So everything can be there. I'm also on social media and newly a teacher on Insight Timer, if anybody uses Insight Timer. And I have my podcast, Intuitive Wisdom, and my book, Make Easier Vibe, which can be found on Amazon.
Do you have
Perfect.
a picture of your book there with you? Do you have one in front of you?
I have I have one here, if you can see it.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, it's been such a pleasure talking to you, but one of my favorite questions to ask is if you had a final word to say to all of our listeners, what would it be?
I think it would there's so many things. What's coming in now is to believe that anything is possible. I think for a long time, I always said anything was possible, but I made it very conditional. Well, yes, anything is possible for that person, or anything is possible in this situation.
Yeah.
But to really give yourself the grace of anything is possible and open that door, you can have both. You can get everything done and still have 5 minutes to read. You can have, whatever it is you're thinking about, to think anything is possible. I can feel good in this space. I can figure out I can write a book. I can, whatever it is, anything is possible and give yourself that grace to have that door open to opportunity. Then the
Right.
energy can flow.
Nice one. Nice message.
That is a
Very good.
very beautiful message. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And you've given, I think, all of our followers and us lots to, think about, because I think it's always good, even when you know some of this stuff, to have that refreshing and come from a different angle of learning these different things. So we really appreciate you being on with us today.
I certainly
Thank you
do.
so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And everyone else, we will see you on the next one.
You bet.